another team that is close to Rudy's heart, the Dallas Cowboys, and a team that he probably despises with every fiber of his being, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I like the Eagles, man. I'm
You
a
like
weird
the
Cowboys
Eagles?
fan. I like the Eagles, bro.
To
Like
start,
I feel like we're in a new age of just we can appreciate teams. Like I am a diehard Cowboys fan, Rockets fan, but I like these guys, players, teams. And there's nothing wrong with it. Don't let people tell you that there's something wrong with you.
the Eagles are hard to root against, and the same goes to the Bengals as a Steeler fan. I don't like them though. This is the topic at hand. Every week we preview a different division. This week we are starting the NFC East. Cowboys, Eagles. Who is the better team in the East? Dallas this offseason got busy drafting Mozzie Smith. They go and take Luke Shoemaker out of Michigan as well. They went all in though on the defense, getting Stephon Gilmore, acquiring earlier on Brandon Cooks. Every single Cowboys hole has been plugged in. The question though is that enough to overcome a Philadelphia team that does lose Shane Steichen? What do you think, Rudy?
That's a very good question, and we're not gonna have the answer until we see these two teams match up. Not even in a regular season. I want to see a playoff matchup. That's what I want to see. Because we did our power rankings going into next season, and I had Eagles at 1 over the Chiefs. I just think that they have a great team. They arguably won the draft. So I think Jalen Hurts has gotten better and better each year. I can't say the same for Dak, man. He disappoints me too much, and he's the spearhead for our team. And this year, we're coming in with Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup's healthy. We got Tony Pollard as the guy now. We have a well-rounded team as well. We got arguably one of the top 5 secondaries in the league. Like, there's not many excuses for him to have. So I think the Eagles are better on paper. They deserve to be given the edge right now. But to me, yes, the Cowboys, the only way they're going to prove anything to me this year is if you can come out of the conference and get to the Super Bowl. There's really no excuse, honestly.
Yeah, so the problem with the Cowboys, right? First off, starts with I was not a big fan of the move to get rid of Kellen Moore, right? I read the stat off when he got relieved of his duties, whatever you want to call it. Since Kellen Moore and Dak came together, they were number 2 in total offensive yards and 2 to only the Kansas City Chiefs. That's pretty damn good company. I was not a fan of that move. I'm not a big fan of Mike McCarthy. I think he honestly rode Aaron Rodgers' coattails to get that Super Bowl win. His offense towards the end of his run in Green Bay became stoic. A lot of players and people were just talking about how like this is just so rudimentary. It's stale. It's nothing new to it. So I don't know what. Maybe that was 6-7 years ago, whatever. Maybe he had a philosophy change. I have no idea. Dak is obviously saying all the right things in the media about it. But what I do love is the moves that they made and how John spoke on. Yes, they drafted pretty well, but what I want to focus on is getting Stephon Gilmore, a guy who is not washed. This guy, while athletically he is not what he once was, bro, this guy technically is probably the best cornerback in the league. If we want to talk straight technique, he's right there. So now you have, in my opinion, the best cornerback duo in the entire NFL, in my opinion. I love Trevon Diggs. I think from how many years he's only been playing cornerback to what he is, still sky's the limit. He can even get better. You still got Micah, the spearhead of that defense, all right? And you've made a move in getting Brandon Cooks now. And Brandon Cooks is going to help apply that pressure on the defense. Speed. You guys were lacking a lot of speed last year in offense. Now you got to have a guy who can stretch the defense, a guy who's had 1,000 yards with many a different quarterbacks. Last one was David Mills in the Houston Texans offense. This guy was having 1,000 yards. You got CeeDee Lamb, who really proved himself, who I think is right there. If you don't want to say he's top 10, he is right. He's in that conversation of a top 10 wide receiver. He's proved himself as a number 1. You get rid of Dalton Schultz. That kind of sucks. He was a real safety blanket, but I'm blanking on the tight end that they drafted. I think in the second or third round. Yep. They got high hopes for him. The offensive line is still going to be top-notch in the league. Tony Pollard, there's worries coming off the injury. That sucked in the San Francisco game. They really missed Tony Pollard in that game. They needed that explosiveness. You got no more Zeke now. Rumors he might come back just as like a kind of Udonis Haslem. You want to speak on the Miami Heat, that type of guy, just to really be a veteran presence. But I believe in these Dallas Cowboys to get it done. I know on paper, like Rudy said, it's hard to go against those Eagles on paper. They and not even just on paper. Last year, they proved that the paper was, real. It's just now you're not coming out a surprise to everybody. We all know about this, right? That one year you get everybody. They're not really too worried about you. Now people know, okay, we're not going to sleep on you now. We're going to, you're the defending NFC champions. You got a target on your back as well. I just think the best case scenario for the Cowboys is you just got to split with the Eagles. You don't got to sweep them, just split. They're better than the Giants. There's no comp there. You're better than the Commanders. There's no comp there. It's Philly and it's Dallas. You split with Philly. I think winning that division right there is right in the palm of your hands. Now, like I said, Mike McCarthy is the one step back. I can't argue with Mike McCarthy. I'm not a fan of him.
Well, they were right in position to win the division this last year, but really, unfortunately for the Eagles, the one talking point is they got banged up to end last year on the defensive end, the front seven, Jalen Hurts. And it's hard to repeat a Super Bowl run. Like we saw it with the Eagles in 2017 and 2018, where you had more injuries, with Wentz notably out for another postseason, or at least he got hurt again. That's the only concern I have with this Eagles team. Losing Jonathan Gannon could be addition by subtraction because that defense did not play well against elite level quarterbacks. Even Jared Goff, like the 14th best quarterback in the league, still gave them numbers. The thing with the Eagles is they just had the best quarterback in the conference. And we saw that this last year. The jump Jalen Hurts took is speaking of a superstar. It is the beginning of what will be the Eagles' possible best quarterback in their franchise's history. I look at Dak Prescott and I don't see the same. Naturally, I've seen Dak with that same talent level. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, we talked about Schultz, and Tony Pollard come up short, missing the playoffs some years. Other years, it was on the defense, but he gets to the playoffs, and where was he versus the 49ers? There's a good chance the Cowboys win this division, but no one really cares about that, right? Like, the last time they made it to the Super Bowl, I was not alive yet. And the longer we go on this push, the more it feels like Dak is one of those guys that just masquerades himself as a franchise guy when he's good, he's above average, top 10 even some seasons, but the regular season numbers just don't equate to the highest level of performance when it matters most. And I just look back again, second year losing to the 49ers, Jimmy G, Brock Purdy. I'm like, look, if they played the Eagles in the playoffs with Jalen Hurts, a guy that went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, what would happen? I think we would clearly see the separator between these two squads.
And that's the main thing. Like Jalen Hurts to me is better than Dak Prescott at this point. Stats don't speak for everything. Like I remember when the Texans had Matt Schaub, that bro had numbers. He was not no top 5 or top 10 quarterback. So Dak is like a fringe top 10, top 12 quarterback when he's at his best. But for me, at the end of the day, he can do whatever he wants in the regular season. When the off season comes around, that's when I am not a believer at all. So it's always up to him. He's got to show me something because I'll be straight up. I don't believe in Dak Prescott. I just don't.
Today's Matt Schaub's birthday, by the way, and as peak, he was pulling up 4,700 yards at 300 a game in 09.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Pro bowler.
Kyle Shanahan, man.
He's mid.
Yeah, but that was mostly Andre Johnson and Arian Foster carrying him. But the sentiment is there. Now, what sucked was I think the biggest kicker to the Cowboys season last year was really losing to Jacksonville. If you win that game, you have I'm pretty sure you're the number 1 seed in the NFC, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was really because I think Washington, by the time that happened, I'm pretty sure we've had that talk before that the Cowboys would have been the number 1 seed if they beat Jacksonville. So I just think you're right there with them. And yes, Dak has come up short, but he's also come up very big. You obviously know, and I know this is years ago, his rookie debut in the playoffs going toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. Even this year, while he had a stinker and a shitty game against the Niners, against the Bucks, they looked unstoppable. And the only matchup we can look at, and I know you want playoff against Philly, and I can't give you that right now, but what I can give you is late in the season, they played head-to-head. They played in Dallas. Dak Prescott looked pretty damn good. 40-34 was the final score. You guys come out on top. I can't give you playoffs. I can give you late season, and you guys came out on top. I'm just saying it looked very different that game when you had Cooper Rush as your starting quarterback and Dak Prescott as your starting quarterback. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, what did Hurts play that game? No, he
did
didn't.
get injured that game. He did. You just
that
reminded me that he did get injured that game.
He's only played 3 times or 4 times versus the Cowboys. He's 2-2. Yeah,
That's so freaking right, you guys. You guys reminded me that matchup has not really came to fruition. Have they ever played head-to-head then? Dak and Jalen?
they definitely did, but it wasn't this last year,
It
unfortunately.
wasn't this last year.
Yeah,
Okay, so then I stand corrected on that. Apologies for that. So I thought Jalen was there. That killed that whole argument there for that game. But my sentiments still stand from earlier of Dallas Cowboys fixing the needs and Dak hopefully going through a whole season, not getting injured and being able to show up and show out. My one worry is Mike McCarthy and the play calling. That's my only one worry. I think everything else is going to figure it out. I think you guys are going to be a 10 win team, bare minimum. But yeah.
You know, though, I do think true franchise quarterbacks can overcome that. In that game you were talking about, Prescott played phenomenal, especially down the stretch. And the Cowboys, what do you know, in the second half, win with Dak because the team is that good. They're as quality, as consistent, as capable as the Eagles, especially defensively, by getting Dan Quinn to stay, the secondary in the front seven. I mean, the Eagles just don't have an edge rusher like Micah Parsons, and that is a bigger difference. That's a bigger factor. It's just so disappointing that I think for the Cowboys, they've built this great roster through quality drafts, Woody trades, and generally, when they've made bad signings, they've cut bait with them, that it feels like the last thing missing is just, Prescott isn't quite good enough. And I'm actually a huge fan of this team. I'm expecting them to make a playoff push this year, but even then, you don't have confidence in them being the Eagles in the playoffs because of the quarterback play.
Here's what I want to bring up to Rudy. I don't think it's Dak Prescott, like I've said before. I truly believe that you take out Jason Garrett, you take out Mike McCarthy, and you bring in a head coach that's actually competent and that you actually believe in. A guy like a Harbaugh, a guy like Sean Payton, right? Let me ask you this, Rudy. If Sean Payton is your head coach right now, right, coming into this season, how much more belief do you have in the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, we're still going to be
Dak specifically, as Sean Payton backing him up. Actually, that's what I want to ask you. How much more belief do you have in Dak Prescott with Sean Payton being your head coach and offensive coordinator?
I still like it. The question is still Dak to me, though, man, because once he gets on the field, he's the one that's making the questionable plays sometimes. I do think we'd be better, but we're already damn good.
Okay.
I agree. McCarthy is an average coach. Payton's awesome.
Payton's a Hall of Famer.
The turnover-worthy plays, and I think the lack of consistent composure by Prescott is really the difference. When he's composed, not many better pocket passers.
Yeah.
When he was healthy, not too many better runners of the football too. But at the end of the day, it seems like he tenses up and he presses in the biggest moments, whether that's high-level games in the playoffs, which I haven't seen too many of, this game against elite defenses, and then even at times in the regular season too, where he has bad decision-making.
For me, I guess it's just more that I believe that a Sean Payton can help change that a lot. I think that